It is indeed a pleasure to have this privilege to play here for you. We intend to give you a very fine program, so just settle back, relax, and enjoy the moment.
Good morning. Hello, if you're watching this later. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're gonna consume this. It's a Monday morning. I am extraordinarily grateful to be here. I am grateful to just, I'm trying to really lean into the gratitude piece and not on no superficial stuff either. I'm super grateful to be here with you. And I planned, y'all, those watching, hey Debbie, good morning. Debbie's right on time. Got A plus attendance, Debbie. So I stayed up really late last night, but it was cool because I slept a lot yesterday watching the Olympics. Good morning, Whiskey Neat on Twitch. So I had a lot of time to plan. You know how you take naps during the day and so you're just wired all night, whatever, but it's good. Hey D Bartlett on Twitch. Good morning. Good morning, anyone on Facebook watching. So I'm super excited. If you saw the stream is starting now, image, I'm going to try, depending if I have enough time, I'm going to start teasing out what the subject matter of the live stream will be. If I can add a graphic to it. So today I put too blue to critique, and I removed the question mark, but essentially I want to beg the question. Are our Democratic leaders, our liberal leaders why are we not critiquing them, right? And so, hey, good morning, Meg, on Twitch. Good morning. So I want to beg that question. Hey, Nelson Nicole. I saw your post, Nelson Nicole. I saw your post about, I'm not stalking. I just saw it when I went on Facebook this morning. Good job on your milestone. Keep going. But yeah, I want to beg the question, why are folks, and I don't want to antagonize. I'm not going to lie. When I initially started to curate the information for today, the videos that I wanted to queue up, when I wanted to just pull all the information, all my receipts from 2016, 2017, 2018 of people really admonishing me for challenging a Joe Cunningham to be better, challenging, into the name of the Democrat. I really got a lot of pushback, especially on Facebook, about, hey, why are you trying to undermine this Democrat's chance at winning? Why are you bringing up why are you bringing up this person's deficits? Why aren't you just, enthusiastically campaigning for this person X, right? And my whole point is first of all, the dynamic. I've always said this. If you followed me, this is not necessarily so sophisticated. This is not sophisticated analysis. I've been a broken record when I talk about the politicians and those seeking your vote, the candidates. They work for us. And I think we've gotten that dynamic so twisted, and we've turned elections and campaigns into pep rallies instead of using resources like a League of Women Voters forum or any type of town hall or forum. We don't use those mechanisms or those platforms or those events. We don't use them as the means to thank you, Whiskey, as the means to really push candidates to show up better for us. We only and I want to get at the root of why that is. And I also just want to tell y'all, if you're expecting me to just fawn all over a politician, even the ones that I'm rooting for, Mia McLeod, if you expect me not to be critical of certain aspects of their platform, this is not the platform for you. If you want just complete, just overwhelming support for a candidate, that's just not how I get down. And I think a lot of people look to me or look for platforms like this for that type of voice. And I'm here to say, no, they're interviewing for a job. You're the hiring manager. What kind of critical questions are you going to ask before they get the job? And then when they get the job, how are you measuring and managing performance? How do you hold them accountable? And basically, I'm asking the Democrats here in South Carolina, people who identify as Democrat. I don't necessarily identify as a Democrat. I'm definitely not liberal, right? But I want y'all to ask the question, so I want you to manage performance, but I also want us to build political power. I need Black and Gullah Geechee folk to build political power. I need Latinx communities and immigrant communities, however folks identify. I need y'all to build political power. You can't do that by just voting for the lesser of two evils come each election. So I want to go over some critique. I did stumble across some things over the past couple of days, some really interesting content. We're going to talk about Clyburn. We're going to talk about Cunningham. We're going to talk about the Greek freak Todd Rutherford and I was resistant on mentioning this. I thought really long and hard about this. Shout out Kia if you're still on West Coast. Kia, you're probably not watching. Hey, good morning, Bush Kennedy on Facebook. I thought really long and hard about mentioning this exchange in my DMs, but I said, you know what, fuck it. Good morning, Justin. I said, fuck it. This is the spouse of an elected official. If I know she's also an aspiring reality show personality. I know she's been auditioning to be more of a public facing reality show Bravo celebrity, but fuck it. I'm going to go ahead and weigh in. I'm going to weigh in. There's been so many other the white cast members of Southern Charm really trying to get my attention. They must be filming. I'm not going to engage in that because I do not want to open that Pandora's box again. I do not need to be in Australian tabloids again, right? For another damn year. But when it comes to this Southern Charm person, I'm definitely going to talk about it because she challenged me and she's out of her depth. I don't care how much access she may have to prominent Democrats or establishment Dems or moderate Dems or corporate Dems. Like that don't make. I'm from Jersey. I cut my teeth on Jersey politics. First job out of college was working for the McGreevey administration. I done met Coretta Scott King. I done met Jesse Jackson. I done met all these people. Like this ain't new to me, right? And I don't want to get too graphic in the morning. Sorry. I know there might be some children within earshot, but I don't get all worked up and excited at the mere proximity to power, especially candidates, right? I don't fan out. So I'm going to get into that. So this exchange happened in my DMs where someone challenged my content, didn't like the characterization, and I'm actually going to be a little bit more adult in that. I did create a caricature, right? I like calling Todd Rutherford the Greek freak because I think what he did, I think his moves, I think are questionable, and they've been thoroughly reported on. And while no reporter and reporting is perfect, I found the reporting to be very sound and thorough on he and his now wife, then girlfriend's excursions across the globe, right? Using taxpayer dollars and also his use of earmarks. So we're going to get right into that. We're going to talk about Todd Rutherford. We're going to talk about Clyburn, jumping into the Ohio 11th race. I tweeted about this. I hinted about this here. And so look, so for those who are, I think I've got a Clyburn progeny. I got a Clyburn daughter who might follow me on Facebook. This is not a personal attack. It's all fair. Everything's fair game. Your people. If you follow me, but you're a big fan of Clyburn, you should be a fan of Clyburn. You should be a fan of his civil rights history. You should be a fan of what he and his wife did for this state. You should be a fan of that. However, power needs to be interrogated. And especially if you've been in office since the 90s, we definitely need to talk about and deconstruct and examine hypertenure and why our elected officials stay in office forever, right? Cue the Sandlot voice, right? So we need to talk about that as well. So I'm going to dig into it. So Clyburn, Cunningham, of course. We're going to talk about Joey, talk about the Greek freak. We're going to talk about the OG Clyburn. And I just put Caesar McKnight up there just because he's just as a cornball. But we might talk about Caesar McKnight and him going on Tucker Carlson, just to make a point to his party. A Democrat going on Tucker Carlson, a Democrat going on a white supremacist, a white nationalist program, just to make a greater point about how he feels about his trash anti-trans legislation. So let's just go ahead and I'm gonna try to get into it. I feel like the streaming gods are going to be on my side. Good morning, Anna Marks. Good morning. Thank you for checking in. We're not doing this. I don't even know why Allie Vale, she's up here. Oh, I was watching something. We're not doing this. Let's go back to my history. Ooh. That's that Black Voters Matter song, y'all. All right, let's get back to my history. So first, let's start, because it's the easy part, I think. I think Clyburn's easy. Let's go ahead. And again, I said this about our discussion about schools and these nonprofits and the schools that hire the teachers and the educators. If you've got a family, a friend, a mama, daddy, uncle, son, brother, whomever, if you've got people in these camps, check your feelings. Check your feelings. I really want to say the F word, but check your feelings. This is not about them personally. This is about the systems, right? We challenge systems. We challenge patterns. We challenge trends. We challenge the larger thing that your people might be affiliated with. So when I talk about Clyburn, don't personalize this and don't turn this into a pep rally for someone you work with or someone you love and have affinity for. We're going to talk about how power flows, right? So let's jump into Clyburn. So Clyburn, not too recently, it was like a few weeks ago, Clyburn, along with many other establishment corporate Dems, have stood up to They have decided to weigh into the Ohio 11th race. Now, the Ohio 11th district is a congressional district where Nina Turner, y'all know Nina, if you are ensconced, if you are embedded, if you are a follower of all things #SCPOL, you know who Nina Turner is. Nina Turner has made South Carolina like her second home, right? And I'm going to play a bit of my interview with her when she came to Wadmalaw during the last Democratic primary, right? Nina Turner has been brought in by our Democratic establishment for conventions. She's definitely been here stumping for Bernie. She's she is the most effective surrogate that I've ever I've consumed. Like when you talk about hitting your marks, like when you talk about hitting every mark and the message discipline, the consistency, there's no one. You find a better surrogate for a candidate than Nina Turner. Well, Nina Turner is progressive. She's a proponent of Medicare for all. She's progressive. And so the establishment Dems are running Chantel Brown against her. And so people like a Hillary Clinton, people like thank you, Dr. Claw. People like a Hillary Clinton, people like Clyburn, and other establishment Dems have thrown their support behind Chantel Brown in 11th in an effort to try to defeat Nina Turner, which is to me really bold and brash, given how high of a profile Nina has. But Clyburn entering into it really made me scratch my head, and I was so grateful that I found some analysis that helped me understand that. And we're going to get two bits of information, two bits of content from Brianna Joy Gray about that from her podcast, and then from this appearance she made on The Hill not too long ago. So let's watch this, and it'll break it down.
The number 3 House Democrat, Congressman James Clyburn of South Carolina, is stepping into the Ohio congressional race.
Why?
Yesterday, Clyburn endorsed Chantel Brown, the leading opponent of Nina Turner, an outspoken ally of Bernie Sanders and a current frontrunner in the race.
In spite of the endorsement of her competition, Nina Turner and her campaign have seen a surge in fundraising from not just Ohio donors, but donors all across the country.
Me.
Former National Press Secretary for the Bernie Sanders presidential campaign and co-host of the Bad Faith podcast, Brianna Joy Gray, joins us now to weigh in on this. Welcome, Brianna.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Let's just start with the basic question. What do you make of Clyburn? I mean, this is obviously not entirely out of character or unexpected from James Clyburn, but what do you make? How do you think this changes the race?
Look, I think it's really benevolent for James Clyburn and Hillary Clinton and a lot of other corporate Dems to be willing to do so much to fundraise for Senator Nina Turner, because as we've all seen, at the end of the day, every time one of these kind of establishment Democrat heavyweights comes out and endorses her opponent, she has an enormous fundraising day. And I think that is a real testament to the credibility that she's raised over the course of the last few years as she's campaigned for not just Bernie Sanders, but for the kinds of progressive issues that overwhelming majorities of Americans not only want, but really need at this crisis point.
And Brianna, we actually have numbers that just came in that make your point. Dave Weigel at the Washington Post is reporting that after Hillary's endorsement, as we know, she raised more than $100,000 overnight. After James Clyburn's endorsement, again, more than $100,000. And so that's $200,000 pumped into Nina Turner's campaign by Clinton and Clyburn. The question is, what value do those endorsements have for Chantel Brown? And I ask that because
we're not going to play the whole thing, but this next
Elliot
point
Engel got
is
the
really
endorsement
clarifying. I see you,
Hillary
Dr.
Clinton
Paul.
And a whole slew of establishment Democrats in the final few weeks.
Hold up. I see you, Dr. Claw. Dr. Claw over here on Twitch. Dr. Claw 77. You saying, as a person who is right there on Ohio 11th, I do not appreciate all of the corporate folks getting in the way. I hear you. Let's go. Let's go.
Of
Keep
that
talking.
race,
Keep dropping in the chat.
Jamal Bowman is now representing that district and won it in a landslide.
Well, it's clear when you read reporting like the New York Times article about this recently that the goal is to show that all of the familiar names in the Democratic Party, the household names that you know and trust, are behind Shontel Brown. And moreover, the way that the Clyburn endorsement is being framed in particular is seemingly a little bit of a nod to a certain level of identity politics, which is interesting given that both candidates in this race are Black and that Senator Turner has gotten so many endorsements from notable Black public figures, including Black and brown public figures, including all the members of the squad.
Come on.
And so it's really curious to start to look closely at why it is that people like Jim Clyburn regularly are deployed to kind of run cover for establishment candidates. None of us can forget what happened in the Democratic primary, where Clyburn coming out in favor of Joe Biden at the last minute really helped to swing.
And real quick, y'all, remember how, first of all, if you can remember back, get back in your Wayback Machine, right? All right, you back. We're back during the primary. Remember how long and drawn out Clyburn's endorsement process was, right? And I'm still trying to figure out why it took him so long, like what was going on. Part of me thinks, okay, so Clyburn's boy early on was Cory Booker because of the Big Pharma connection, right? Both Cory Booker and Clyburn and Big Pharma, that's a throuple. They together, they real like polyamorous, right? And so, and you saw movements from establishments Dems here, like the former chairperson or chairman of the Charleston Democrats, Brady, right? Quirk, I never say his last name right, but y'all know I'm talking about Brady, white boy Brady. Brady took a job with the Booker campaign early on, and that to me signaled, oh shit, the moderate base here in South Carolina is hedging for Cory Booker. Then what did we see? Cory Booker got so much access to Mother Emanuel. Do you remember? He had every national and local paper and press person inside of Mother Emanuel and Moms Demand Action inside the actual sanctuary of Mother Emanuel to do this really big premeditated, like it had a teleprompter and everything in the actual sanctuary of Mother Emanuel. I said, oh shit, Clyburn and them, Brady's job, Clyburn. And then Clyburn was holding all these like closed door meetings with like Mayor Benjamin in Columbia, and there were all these like little candid pictures that were released of him in a room, all men, no women, all men, no women, no Black women, even though Black women is carrying your asses in the ballots, carrying your mama and your grandmama and your nanny, your play cousin Peanut, even though Black women is taking your play cousin Peanut and them to the polls, no Black women in the room. Anyway, so all these pictures started. I'm like, oh, Cory Booker, Clyburn Farmer, Cory Booker. That's when I started to make the connection. But then something else happened. So I'm just replaying what happened during the primary. And it was like, oh, and I know for a fact, Cory Booker was the one, because I think Clyburn was trying to be a kingmaker for the next Black president, right? The next Black male president. And I think that's what was going on. And who was more winnable, who was less threatening. And I think Kamala was always going to be VP. I think Kamala was always going to be someone who was thought of as VP, like a 1-2 punch, right? I think so. But early on, it was Cory Booker. I just wanted to go back in the Wayback Machine real quick.
South Carolina for Joe Biden, who up until that point had won 0 states and was really flagging as a candidate.
Right, he was
horrible.
horrible.
So one has to start to ask the question, what are Jim Clyburn's motives here to get in the middle of these races over and over again? And you can't escape the fact that Jim Clyburn has taken more money from the pharmaceutical industry over the last 10 years than anybody else in Congress. He comes from a state that has some of the worst health outcomes in the country. I believe it ranks number 44. It's the number 2 state in terms of medical medical debt, with almost 32% of South Carolinians having medical debt, some of the worst outcomes in terms of maternal health, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And these things are connected. And the idea that someone from a state like South Carolina that has Republican leadership, that is a red state that didn't get Medicare expansion, right, that didn't accept Medicare expansion, would be
okay. We're gonna stop it there because she's just got bars, too many bars, right? I can watch the whole thing over and over again. I'm mad at, I didn't mean to pause it while she's puckering like that. But she, like, so you get that, right? So all those stats and whatnot, right? Okay. So hey Jessica, I enjoy watching your social media, with you and your fam. Welcome back. Let me see. There was this part right here, and I'm gonna kind of do a little dismount. I don't have any conclusive commentary other than the fact of what I'm seeing from Dr. Claw and from some of these conversations I've had in my DMs about Clyburn and his peculiar moves and his tendency to do what moderate Dems do, which is, and the Congressional Black Caucus, which is to lift up these really safe, corporate donor friendly candidates and to diminish and to undermine the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. My question to people who are watching is, why is this acceptable? Why are we afraid of progressive values? Why do we continue to buy into this trope that we can't make an argument along class lines, something that's what's the term I'm looking for? We refuse to make our candidates better and make progressive messaging more nuanced and easy to understand for folks. You know, it's gonna get characterized as being socialist or socialist values or communist. Regardless, they called Barack Obama a communist. You can't get more corporate-y neoliberal than the Barack Obama, and to call him again. So it doesn't matter. They call Nancy Pelosi a socialist, right? They call Joe Cunningham a socialist, right? He got a lot of things he ain't that, right? So they're gonna call you all these things. That's what the right does. That's what the opposition does. Why don't we lean into strengthening the progressive wing of the party? Why do we always work to undermine? Why do we put so much money, so many millions of dollars into that? Why do we have our leaders expending so much energy and resources in undermining these other candidates? And Chantel Brown, and Nina Turner's not the first one. I do want to pull this up. I didn't even think about this. They did this shit with y'all. Yeah, they love her now. They love her now. MLK ad. They love Stacey Abrams now, but they did this shit against Stacey Abrams way back. Let me see if I can find this ad. Let me see. He might have talked about it. No. Let me see. White Stacey. MLK. Let me see if I can find it. This was hilarious. Where is it? Y'all remember this? You had two Stacys running in Georgia. Stacey, MLK, ad. I used to have this queued up somewhere. Oh my God. I used to have it queued up. Oh my God. Let me go back. Y'all remember this? MLK. I played this at an Emerge event. White Stacey. It might be like this. MLK. Hold up. This is what I get for trying to throw a curveball on my own thing. Let me see if
across America, citizens are protesting against police brutality.
No, that's not it. Y'all remember what I'm talking about? So the Congressional Black Caucus, I believe, and a bunch of Martin Luther King. Oh my God, where is it? It was so funny. So this there were two Stacys running, right? And so it was White Stacey and Stacey Abrams. And the White Stacey ran this ad where she's in the church and they're playing gospel music and she's clapping off beat or whatever. And then they superimpose Martin Luther King's face over the white Stacey's. And this was who the Congressional Black Caucus and the establishment Dems were lifting up over Stacey Abrams, right? They felt like the white candidate had more electability, right? And my question is how much, I'm gonna find that ad because I remember playing it at the Emerge. I remember playing it at the Emerge event. It's got to be up here. Let me see. Martin Luther King election ad. Was it an ad? I'm saying. Oh my God, maybe I'm putting it wrong. It was so funny. It was really funny. I'll find it later and I'll play it because I'm gonna be mad. Opponent. Oh, I gotta stay on point. Oh my God, I wanted to see if I can't even remember her last name. If I could remember her last name, anybody remembers her last name, I'm gonna search for it. Let me go back to my thing because it was so funny. But anyway, they were against Stacey Abrams. They love her now, but they were against Stacey Abrams. If y'all remember her name, Cori Bush too, Bowman in New York, they did this thing. Thank you for dropping that in the chat, right? So they did this before. So let me get back to other things because I'm gonna get distracted. I'll find it. It's probably somewhere on my hard drive. But this is another critique that I thought was illuminating, probably just piling on a little bit, right? But my whole thing is like, I think if you consume a lot of mainstream media, if you consume MSNBC and CNN, if you consume only like the New York Times and you don't think critically about your own political values, right? I am not afraid or ashamed to admit that I myself was pushed way further left over the last 7 years, way further left. I was not left. I was not. Oh yeah. Hillary Clinton voter, all that, right? And I had to be pushed. I was uncomfortable, right? And I thought I was progressive, and I wasn't, right? I was right of many of my friends, to be honest. And it's nothing wrong with. I think I've always had progressive like tendencies and progressive sensibilities, but I definitely fell for it because what I was consuming primarily, I gotten out of the habit of reading more about certain political ideologies. I got out of the habit of listening to lectures or going to lectures where I could hear so many different types of people with certain political backgrounds talk, right? Okay. Jay Pry, you say maybe the ad wasn't real. What are you talking about? Are you being funny? The ad was 100% real. I've played it at when I've led facilitation. The ad is 100% real. So like I've been pushed left, and my greater point is, I'm sorry, Jay, I didn't mean to snap back like that, but of course the ad is real. That's why I was looking for it. Just like the ICE ad, the pro ICE ad that Joe Cunningham ran was real. That I can't find, but I know it was real because I found my Facebook post saying that, quoting it. So, some of these things get moved around, whatever. I got that ad somewhere. I got that thing somewhere. But anyway, so like it's okay to like deepen your knowledge and deepen your own understanding of where you stand. It's okay also to be made uncomfortable. And I just want to know why so many people in South Carolina, like especially when Joe was running, and then when Joe won, the thing was, oh, so fragile. Don't upset it. Joe won. Don't. And I'm like, no, push him to be better. And I said this, like, stop letting him get away with being a single issue candidate. I said that. He was so vulnerable then. The reporters' national coverage of Joe Cunningham's his candidacy and then his time in office, it was always very fragile. So why not? You already at risk. Like, why not take a bold step? Why not push him to be better and show up for more than just offshore drilling and for very moneyed, very wealthy, beachfront property owning, the white wealthy? Like, why not make him show up for black people? Why not make him show up for Gullah Geechee folk? Why not make him show up for people on Back the Green? It's okay to push these candidates. Why are we so reluctant to do that? So I'm gonna play a little bit more analysis on Cunningham. I'm talking so much.
So I want to start off.
We're only gonna play a little bit of this. This is from the Bad Faith podcast. This is another. You see Brianna Joy Gray right here again. But the first few minutes of this conversation to me were very illuminating. And again, like, why don't we foster more environments where this type of conversation can happen? And out of all four, she's a host. I'm gonna take her out because we kind of know where Brianna stands. But of the three gentlemen here that are guests, they all have very different takeaways and different perspectives, and it's a kind of clash that's generative, right? Not all conflict is inherently bad or destructive, right? And so why don't we foster an environment here in South Carolina where we have these nuanced discussions about our political stances and about what might serve our people better? I'm not talking about the reductionist ass, bullshit ass, crossfire, hey, pundit against pundit type of discourse. That's entertainment. That's kabuki theater. They all go out and have drinks and gallivant and date each other. All those pundits that are like at locking horns, that's all fake, right? That's WWE, right? That's Hollywood Hulk, right? That's all that is. Why can't we have conversations that are generative, that bring about conflict, but that also push us to think a little deeper about what we believe?
By talking about some pop culture subjects that have been percolating around in the crease between pop culture and politics.
Oh, hey, Jay, how you doing? Jay, you getting blocked because you being very ignorant. It's not because it's on the internet. It's not real. It actually made national news. But thank you for coming in to challenge something so benign. But we can go ahead and get you blocked right now. We're not going to do that. Yeah, and we're not going to do that. I could tell when somebody is being like just really destructive. I'm gonna let her play while I block you.
That I think you all are kind of uniquely qualified to weigh in on. And to start out with, I wanted to ask you about, this isn't too broad, what you make of the state of Black American politics, given that we've had some pretty diverse political outcomes in the last couple of weeks. On one hand, we have India Watson being elected as mayor of Buffalo. On the other hand, we have Eric Adams, former cop.
Then he says, I'm not trying to troll, but you getting blocked.
One of the more conservative candidates in the Democratic primary being the likely winner.
Yes, Pascal
the
Robert.
likely future mayor of New York City. And there have been a lot of hot takes about what this means about the future of socialism, what this means about what Black Americans do or don't really want. And I wanted to throw that question to you. What, if any, lessons can we draw from these recent outcomes?
I mean, as the non-American in the room, let me just step right in and speak over everybody else when I say it kind of proves that the Black American body politic is as diverse as any that you'll find.
Jessica, did you find it? Wait. Jessica, did you find it? Yes! Jessica, this shit is on my hard drive somewhere. Jessica, hold up, y'all. I know that was abrupt. I had to do this. I had to do that. I had to block Jay. Sorry, Jay. Not sorry. Please. And maybe it wasn't real. I hate when men do that. Like when men mansplain to you when you know you viewed something in a previous classroom setting and they tell you, oh, maybe it wasn't real. Dummy. Go to sleep. This was the ad, y'all. So this is Stacey Evans. That's right. So the Democrat establishment was pro Stacey Evans. Everybody was like, yo, we don't think this Black Stacey, we don't think this big, beautiful romance novelist, we don't think she's capable, even though she was fire ever since she was a teenager. Check out her C-SPAN clips, right? They didn't believe in her, but they wanted Stacey Evans to win. But go ahead, let me stop talking. Look at this. All the pandering, y'all. You saw Warnock? This is MLK's church, by the way. You saw Bernice King, the daughter of MLK. Look at this. Thank you, Jessica. You always handing me a cup of water on. What are you gonna do? Oh, I don't know what that is. Okay, we'll close it out. You always hand me my cup of water on my marathon. Okay, had to get that out. Thank you. The harmonica, right? Lift every voice and sing. It's hilarious, right? You remember this? Good morning, AJ. Good morning. So yeah, so you saw that at the end too, they superimposed like MLK's face over hers. That was a real ad. And I used that at an Emerge facilitation to talk about how like pandery, tropey, like trafficking in really weird politics as a white candidate is really problematic, right? And I used that ad. So anyway, thank you so much. Oh, that would have been gnawing at me all day. But let's get back to the critique of the black body politic, right? It's not monolithic. So why do we treat it that way? Why do we respond that way? Why do we let folks engage us as if we are just like one voting base that just believes in one thing? We're not. We're very diverse, okay?
And to try to have conversations about what it is the quote unquote black community wants or what it expects, to me, it's always been a futile conversation. But like the nature of democratic politics is such that any group who's not white, but especially with black people, gets compressed into this bolus of white liberal understanding. And it always looks like whatever it is that the party leadership believes that black people want, whether it's increased policing, whether it's cutting or offering school choice through vouchers, whether it's cutting social services, whether it's operating under the guise of offering employer choice and employee choice, but really what it looks like is deregulation and union busting. Like, they'll essentially take whatever liberal narrative is necessary and then apply a veneer of like kufis and like kente cloth to it and call that the black body politic. And I think what this shows is that there are poles of political choice in black communities just like anywhere else. So with Adams being elected in New York, being a former cop and being sort of like a farther to the right, like a center right candidate, and then Buffalo being like the closest American city to where I am, I'm just outside of Toronto, Canada. The fact that they elected a black woman socialist as mayor, to me, are like some incredible signs of progress, but it also shows that we're not a monolith.
Pascal, I mean, you host a podcast, This is a Revolution podcast. Koofies. What do you make of the revolutionary potential of our political movement coming off of last summer with the largest number of people mobilized in the streets in American history, global outrage over George Floyd that, resulted in a Joe Biden presidency and potentially war on crime part 2. Do you think that there was true revolutionary potential in last summer? And what do you think's happened to it, if so?
It's actually fascinating that you asked that question, because we had Dhoruba bin Wahad on our show on Saturday. And for those who don't know, Dhoruba bin Wahad is one of the founding members of the Black Liberation Army with Assata Shakur, former Black Panther Party member, as well as a lifelong revolutionary nationalist. And the subject matter of the show was what is
so Black revolutionary nationalist, right? So I think just real quick clarifying descriptor. This is what a Shakim in his head might think he is, but so when you like Shakim loves to conflate, like he does this really weird Marcus Garvey-esque Black nationalist MAGA dance that's really weird, and it confuses folks who don't study either Black Revolution or the Black freedom struggle even. And so he likes to just traffic in this confusion politics, and he doesn't even know where he stands, because I'm almost certain Shakim doesn't read books not as voraciously as he should. Otherwise he wouldn't be in a room with white nationalist terrorists, waving his hands like he's on a roller coaster in Glee. But so that's something that folks need to understand too. I've noticed this and encountered this a lot here, especially in South Carolina, where there is lack of diversity, diversity is not embraced or platformed often. The diversity is here, but it's not engaged in thoughtful and meaningful ways. And so folks don't understand where to put people like Shakim, and they don't know how to question his own beliefs. The only thing about Shakim's beliefs, when you talk about, I'm just bringing this up because he brought up, this person he interviewed and their roots. The one thing about Shakim, and I mentioned Marcus Garvey, is because I believe Marcus Garvey did the same thing, where there was this interest in the separation the physical separation of the races. And that's where Marcus Garvey or folks who subscribe to that type of black nationalism, that's where they and white supremacists found their common ground. And so they believed in, I don't want to paint all black nationalists with the same broad brush, but there's this thing where, oh, me and white nationalists, we got something in common. We believe in the physical separation of the races. So we believe, like, and then like that's so outmoded and so fucking so really weird. But I just wanted to bring that up because a lot of people don't understand where to put Shakim. Shakim is like the throwaway produce that's not just old, is weird shaped, and you don't want to buy it, and you just go ahead and just put it in the salvage bin and just it gets tossed. Like, there is no category, there is no cogent political point of view. It's very convoluted and confused, and borderline insane, to be real with you. And I'm not using that I'm not employing hyperbole. Let's proceed.
The revolutionary capacity of Black America
I had too much coffee today.
In the post-COVID era. And to be quite frankly, Dhoruba was not romantic at all about he was very, very, very dour in saying that I don't think in the current reality that there is much revolutionary capacity for Black America at all.
Nope.
What we're seeing with these kind of hashtag movements is that they become rendered to foundation funding rather quickly become, I wouldn't even say co-opted, because I think many of them were actually auditioning to become another fulcrum of the left flank of capital in the overall liberal hierarchy, and they really weren't positioning themselves to be revolutionary at all, per se. And quite frankly, I think that because most of these movements are still rooted in leveraging a collective notion of Black identity to be racial ventriloquists for the quote-unquote collective community, that they're still stuck in another phenomenon that we talk about on our podcast, in creating the politics of containment for Black America, in that you have the majority of Black people who are undemocratically having racial ventriloquists speak for them, while they can't choose their own political ideology, thoughts, positions, and decisions, and that allows the ruling class to dispose of Black people in one unique and simple kind of way, and basically negotiate on terms that fits the ruling class to their benefit, and oftentimes to the detriment of the Black majority. So I would argue, quite frankly, that the foundation world is and the corporate world is pouring tons of largesse into quote unquote Black media and other Black nonprofit organizations and HBCUs. But I don't think the majority of Black Americans who are poor and working class are going to see any benefit from that at all.
Okay. I wanted to fast forward. I think there was a response. I'm not even going to let her do the, let me see. Well, we might need to hear her question. Let's hear it. Let's hear a little bit of it.
As if the internet are able to be kind of seen and heard more directly than perhaps in years past, who are over the kente cloth kneeling and who are over the representational politics and who are frustrated that the anti-Asian hate crime bill got passed, but the George Floyd crime bill, as anemic as it is stalled, who are not tolerating some of the excuses coming out of the Biden campaign about why the voting rights bills, et cetera, haven't been passed. Do you see any potential to kind of break open or let's say pull down the veneer that these ventriloquists have been relying on for so many decades?
Well, actually, it's a really good question, because it's actually the subject matter of a book I've been working on that I'm actually trying to put together, and the title of the book is Fracture. From Obama to Trump and the crisis of Black politics. And the main point, and what you're talking about, is that fracture that I'm trying to discuss in the book, and what are the phenomenon that causes that fracture. One of the main reasons, one of the overarching reasons, is that there's a generational shift. Black people under 40, or what is normally known as millennials.
Oh, wait, I really wanted to get to this.
The failures of the Obama presidency.
So that feels right. And the generation that is absolutely required agenda held for them.
I'm actually going to stop this. I'm actually going to stop this because I didn't pinpoint the point I wanted to make, the larger point about Clyburn that was mentioned here in terms of what Clyburn and his connections to Big Pharma and all that. We've already heard Brianna talk about that. But in the interest of time, I want to make sure I get into Todd Rutherford and Joey. And yeah, Caesar can just sit over there. But I want to invite you to please subscribe to the Bad Faith Podcast. If you want to have just a deeper conversation, and then find anything Pascal Robert is a part of and just listen to it, and just kind of deepen your understanding of it all. Shout out Quadjo on Facebook. Quadjo, you said you get resistance from Black elected officials to pushing policy benefiting Blacks because of the politics of containment. And I know Quadro, you've been really at the forefront of really stressing Black economic mobility, Black economic, just in terms of just strengthening and fortifying ourselves financially and finding ways to invest in our communities financially. I know you've been at the forefront of that, and it's really hard to get folks to get out of these the run of the mill or what have become tropes, and what has essentially made Black voters the captured electorate, right? All you have to do is pander to us, bring out a marching band, talk about your favorite soul food, show up at Bertha's, like the same stuff that I've even participated in, help orchestrate it. I ain't gonna lie. All right. So, but that stuff that is often fed to us, and we don't really think deeper about. I wanted to, so we did the 2 Clyburn pieces, and now I want to get into Todd Rutherford. So I started off, and Justin, I see you. Let me read your comment, Justin, right now on Twitch. Justin on Twitch is saying, an adult in my life years ago called Alan Keyes socialist. I knew that man was racist at the time, but years later it clicked that white people, and Justin's white, y'all, white people have just been using the socialist tag against Black people in political movements as a racist trope. Yeah, it has become a racist trope in so many instances, especially when it's levied against a Black candidate or Black person, right? All right, AJ on Facebook, what are you saying over here? Black political gatekeeping is the detriment of Black political progress. Black political ignorance has also weaponized. It's definitely, and AJ, you mentioned that before when we were talking about education last week, how the ignorance is being weaponized against folks. Like, and I've had so many people, like, and I'm not coming at my brothers. I'm not. But this is where I get the most opposition. White women, like at a certain age group, like older white women, and Black men, younger Black men who are younger than me. I get a lot of pushback. Right? Oh, what do you want? Us to just not go on plantations ever again? Oh, what do you mean? You want Joe Cunningham not to win? You don't think he's like, I get so much like this really basic pushback a lot. And to me, all I see is that, you falling prey to you don't know what you don't know, and you're not afraid to speak, even though you are moving from an ignorant standpoint. And I'm not calling them ignorant, it's ignorance, like you don't know enough, right? And that leads me to this point. So y'all know I make fun of Todd Rutherford. I call him the Greek freak. Let me just say this. Todd Rutherford has showed up for a lot of social issues. Todd Rutherford, you can find him on the right side of the fights led by Planned Parenthood. You can find him on the right side of fighting for certain people he's a lawyer, right? So he, like Bamberg, like Bakari Sellers, even in his own way. Todd Rutherford is the person that will jump out and try to find the guy that was brutalized by the police and advocate for them, or find the child that was slammed in the desk by the Spring Valley cop, the SRO, and try to advocate for that child and that family. Like, you'll see Todd Rutherford oftentimes he's Captain Easy Stance, right? If you're a fan of a Libertard show, you know what that is, right? If you get the show. So he's Captain Easy Stance. It's like, okay, easy issues, boom. Planned Parenthood, right to shoes, boom. That's easy. Black kid gets roughed off by the police, boom, I'm there. But when you really drill down at what Todd is doing, that's when things get a little sticky, icky. Todd really didn't get on my radar up until he came the summer before last, came to Charleston and chose to use the Mother Emanuel tragedy as a backdrop for his ambitions to be, I guess, in a power couple. He's on the heels of a divorce, and we're not getting into the messy part of that, right? He was on the heels of a divorce. He was dating a former beauty pageant queen who had found herself in so many political rooms that I was in, and then not to say that being a beauty queen queen disqualifies you from being a political pundit or an operative, but she was clearly out of her depth. I was literally listening for 15 minutes of her talking about her engagement ring and lipstick shade. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even being facetious. But he married this former beauty queen who had ambitions to be on Bravo television, who had ambitions to, be something like a celebrity, right? Very beautiful young lady, girl, beautiful gowns, right? And so I didn't really put it together. I'm like, why is his fiance in this room with me and Elizabeth Warren and Tamika Isaac Devine? Like, why is she in this room? It don't make no sense because she ain't even talking about politics. And then I'm like, well, why? Wait, why is he at Mother? Why is he down here referencing his girlfriend on a hot mic at a press conference on the 5th anniversary of Mother Emanuel? Like, why? I start seeing it and I'm like, wait a minute. And then the story dropped, right? So I'm going to go to the story.
125.
Right? The state did some reporting. Admittedly, it probably is somebody who tipped somebody off. That's how shit work, but the story is valid.
Each year, South Carolina lawmakers send millions of taxpayer dollars to people and organizations they have close ties to. These hidden earmarks are usually sent without the public's knowledge, and most of the money isn't tracked by the state to ensure it's spent correctly. Here's a few examples of questionable earmarks from lawmakers in recent years. Kirkman Finley III. He sent $325,000 to a nonprofit started by his family and run by a longtime friend and political
This
ally.
is what you call pork, y'all.
Much of the money was then sent to a fellow Richland County Republican and former State House member to do advocacy work. Todd Rutherford. He directed $570,000 to causes connected to his then-girlfriend, her mother, and the business partner of his ex-wife.
Shout out to Kia, because Kia I don't put Kia on Front Street. Shout out to Kia, though. I'm going to just leave it at that. Shout out to Kia. If you watch this later, shout out to you, right? Right? That wasn't, Johnny James, you being silly? Are you being serious? Like, is that serious? Is that real? Is that connection real? Or are you just being silly? Drop it in chat, Johnny James, you being silly over here. So look, I can critique this young lady and her recent comments in my DMs without being vicious, and I'm going to do that. Again, no beauty queens are not, as a rule, vapid, right? They're not. I'm not saying she's unintelligent. I'm saying that she has ambitions to be something other than. She's also being groomed to be quite the politician's trophy wife, right? That's my assessment. I don't think that's cruel. I think that's my assessment. Maybe the use of trophy wife is pejorative, and I admit to that, but I'm going to use it, right? Only because she's tried me once and twice and 3 times, and you out, right? So this young lady, your now husband, steered over $500,000 in earmarks towards your mother's nonprofit, right? That's irrefutable. We can look at public record, we can look at reporting, we can find that to be true, right? Your now husband, you dead serious? I don't even want to talk. We'll chat later, Johnny James. Okay, so not only that, he tried to make sure that you become a magistrate judge, right? So he's using his power while in office to make his wife, who has no background in law, has no background, and I don't know, is she even in law school? Hey, let me just make my girlfriend, let me just make my fiance, now wife, let's make her a magistrate judge, right? That didn't work, right? There's all these questionable moves around you and your man, and then the coup de grace, the cherry on top is the use of the state plane, right? So that was it. So she's in my inbox telling me that I'm using racist tropes and I'm disqualified. I'm questioning a black man in power because only way a black man can be in power is if he's corrupt. Pump your brakes. Pump your brakes. Pump your brakes. Because you can be in power. You can be a black man in power, be a black man of influence, and not corrupt, and not push $500,000 in earmarks to your family, to your friends, to your ex-wife's brother, and so on and so forth. Okay, and business partners, right? Right? Oh my God. Was Greek Freak her? What'd you say? Was Greek Freak her? I can't understand what you're trying to say. Her N/dollars to beauty. Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so.
And the business partner of his ex-wife.
Her dowry are tax dollars, right? Okay, let me rewind it because I talked over it.
Causes connected to his then girlfriend, her mother, and the business partner of his ex-wife. Finley and Rutherford say they're proud to have supported worthy causes.
Okay, so they proud to take that money and put it over there. His ex-wife, by the way, y'all, his ex-wife is now the coroner, Richland County coroner. Not going there, just gonna leave it right there, right? So that's money. Y'all know, shout out Jessica. We learning how powerful coroners are, right? All right, so that's what they did. Here's a little background, right, on earmarks, right? Provisions, okay?
By using
Okay. A little bit. I know this is like Schoolhouse Rock, but we're gonna
earmark
do it.
spending, also called pork barrel spending, is funding inserted into the federal or state budget as a line item by individual legislators in the Congress and states' capitals. Lawmakers funnel money to specific projects or organizations that benefit their district. The approval of these projects could help legislators win future votes from their constituents.
That's another part.
Some earmarks might be hidden in budgets.
So it's a way to pay people. It's a little bit of payola, whatever. Well, payola's radio, but it's a way to pay people, but do it through this government apparatus, right? It's a way to right? It's a way to do that. It's a way to get in good favor with certain people and constituencies.
By using vague language in committee reports.
Very vague language.
There are two types of earmarks, hard marks and soft marks.
I see you, Butch Kennedy.
Hard marks are legally binding and are found in the actual text of legislation. Soft marks are not legally binding, but are often treated as if they were during the legislative process and are found in the reports of congressional committees on legislation. Earmarks can be used to sweeten the deal, to pass spending bills and get Congress and state legislatures out of gridlock. Earmark spending is criticized for allowing special favors, corruption, and for spending large amounts of taxpayer dollars on a small population.
Okay. Special favors, corruption, spending. Got it? That's why it's critique. Shout out to the state. This was very informative, right? So then let's take it to so let me I'm gonna pop off Facebook real quick. I'm gonna come right back because y'all are on fire today. So I'm gonna go back and I'm not gonna show the actual DM exchange. I hope I screenshot in case she tries to erase it. Let me see. Let me go back into my. And I think part of it too, I think she actually wants me to poke the bear. So that's why I'm treading very, very lightly. So basically she responded to the reel I made. Remember last week I made that reel on Instagram, Chris Middleton, winning the chip. And I said, he was hugging the Greek freak. I'm like, this is the real Greek freak, not the fake Greek freak, Todd Rutherford. For some reason, she had time to respond to that, right? And so she wrote, I'm so excited for Chris, blah, 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 blah. But I'm confused by your statement about my husband. We never use taxpayer dollars for a trip to Mykonos. Now, I was being facetious with the Mykonos part. I was just being facetious. I just, they've gone to Greece. They've got tons of pictures of themselves in Greece, right? So I use Mykonos as just a joke. The whole Greek freak is a joke. They've been to other places on our money. I could have said, I think Salt Lake City was one of the places they went, right? I could have said that. I just said Mykonos. That part is just me being silly. He says, we never use taxpayer for a trip to Mykonos. That's a racist Republican talking point used to try to demolish the South Carolina Democratic Party. And see, every time a critique is thrown out there, it's, oh, you trying to tear down the party. Why you trying to destroy the party? Why you don't like the party winning? It's always that. Y'all always gotta come up with a different song because I'm over it. Then I responded very thoughtfully with 3 sleeping emojis with the Z's. Because I just really didn't give a fuck, right? So then she responded, all right, sad that a black man can only be successful if he's a crook. But I believe in actual uplifting our community, not finding ways to tear it down. It sounds like what you would say in a pageant, though, right? Oh my God, when you're trying to end world hunger, I'm sorry, I'm trying not to bash y'all, because the pageants are better now. They're more substantive now. But she says, I believe in actual uplifting our community, not finding ways to tear it down from within. So I'll keep supporting you, even if your motive isn't to stick together, but you have my number. Yeah, right. High road. I'm low scum. I'm a troll. Yada, yada, yada. That's what she said, right? I'm like, boo, ain't nobody studying you like that. Like, it ain't even that serious, right? So it made me pull up the story. So the story back in, what was this, March? It was, early spring. So it was front page of the state paper. Let me move this over. Front page of the state paper. Lawmaker defends trips with girlfriend on state plane. Y'all, I did this on a Saturday morning Twitch one time. Y'all, I don't know if y'all remember, but I did this on a Saturday morning Twitch one time. I talked about this. I had fun with it. Had fun with the whole Southern Charm. Motley Crue, right? A prominent Richland County lawmaker traveled on a state plane to conferences at luxury resorts with his then girlfriend while taxpayers picked up the tab for their flights. So how is this a Republican talking point? This is like literal reporting. Once at the conferences, Representative Todd Rutherford, a Columbia attorney and a top House Democrat, sometimes spent his campaign donations to cover his expenses, even though organizers provided food and lodging. Rutherford defends both the legality and ethics of the flight, saying he was invited to the conferences because he's a legislator and he spoke on legislative matters. He brought along Megan Pinckney Rutherford, his girlfriend, who's since become his wife, as allowed by law, he said. And he spent campaign dollars in accordance with state rules too. But some government watchdogs and ethicists consulted by the state media company and the Island Packet dispute the lawmakers' interpretation of the state plane law. All state plane passengers must be on state business, not just the public officials who procure the plane, insisted some. Sometimes people have to travel for their work, and they're going to places that their spouses would like to go, said Daniel, I guess, Woost, I can't say that word, of Clemson University, right? Who studies professional ethics. All right, let's go to the next page. Republican talking points, my ass. Right, let's go to the next page. Like, and that's the thing. Like, please stop acting like I don't read several papers a week. Let's cut that out, right? So don't be in my. That's why I reply with the 3 snoozing emojis, because we're not gonna act like I don't read. We're not gonna do that, right? Not in 2021, right? I'm not a hypocrite. You can call me a lot of things. You can call me a troll sometimes. You can call me thin skin, got a temper. I read though, right? Right. So why should it be different for legislators? Since the publishing of the article, Senate Majority Leader Shane Massey, I might have skipped something. I don't think I did. Yeah. Has proposed selling the 2 state-owned aircraft, citing abuse from lawmakers. Right. Let's keep going about the watchdogs. Also raised concerns about Rutherford's recent unsuccessful efforts to help Pinckney Rutherford become a magistrate judge, right? The 2013 Miss South Carolina USA got engaged to Rutherford on the Greek island of Santorini, y'all. Okay? So when I'm saying Greek freak, it wasn't Mykonos, you right. You right, Megan. It wasn't Mykonos, but I can't make Santorini rhyme with much, or I can't. It don't got the same ring as Mykonos. It might be legal, but it's shaky, right? And like to your point, KCJ 18, it walks a line, right? It walks a line. Why would you want to be so close to the edge? That part I don't get. Why would you want to be that close to the edge, right? All right. She said, yeah, and Johnny James, to your point, she said that I was using racist Republican talking points. She really do need to go ahead and I don't know. So anyway, so they got engaged on the Greek island of Santorini, following one of the lawmakers' legislative trips to Athens. You can't make it up. And like, why would my little quip about the Greek freak, why would that even make you want to respond, knowing that we've got the reporting of what happened? Like how you sis, make it make sense, right? Make it make sense. Let me see what y'all saying. AJ, what you saying on Facebook? Does she not realize how much of the South Carolina Democratic Party is not supported by Black people? Hello. Go to Colleton County. Shout out to Taisha, right? It sounds scripted. Nelson Nicole, don't it sound scripted? The voice on the read. I know. Rajon, don't. Yeah, I'm horrible. I'm horrible. Yeah, Nicole. Good morning, Nicole. I didn't say good morning to you. Good morning, Nicole. You said you would think that if it's a thin line on what's legal, they would take the correct way just to be safe, right? And not go somewhere so fucking lavish, right? And then it ain't that like you put this on IG, you put this on the gram, right? Because you a whole influencer, Megan. So you put this on the gram. So you being a messy first lady or whatever she is, you're being messy and not really like. Where's your PR people's strategy? You have to be careful on what you disclose. You have to make sure you take certain steps. I'm just thinking, like I ain't nobody's first lady, yet. Psych, I'm joking. But like I don't see why you wouldn't take, but you're so hell bent on being a Bravo celebrity. You want to be a Z-list celebrity so damn bad that you gotta post pictures of you and Todd and Santorini and your engagement and this was all like people been talking about this forever. Like when they got engaged, people was kikiing and talking forever about this, right? Like forever talking about this mess. So it was already messy. Y'all was just out here doing what y'all want, living y'all best life, right? All right, Rutherford acknowledges talking to the state. Rutherford acknowledged talking to a state senator about nominating his wife for an open magistrate judge position in recent months, but he says he has no official say in the decision. You try to make her. Come on now, you use that. You use your power, right? And I didn't even get to this part because I ain't got time. All right, campaign. You see this right here? Campaign donations used at luxury hotels. Some of those trips have been some of those trips have taken the couple out of state to out of state luxury hotels where the lawmaker reimbursed himself from campaign funds. The lawmaker reimbursed himself from campaign funds, even though he was also reimbursed by organizers of the event. So you got a per diem, you got food, you got lodging. These places you ain't going to the Motel 6. They're not flying you out to the Motel 6, right? Take, for example, I'm going to continue reading. Take, for example, their trip to Asheville, North Carolina in November of 2018. There, Pickney Rutherford shared an Instagram story of herself at a sunset standing in front of the pools at the spa at the Omni Grove Park Inn, a 4-star lodge in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Justin, you know anything about that if you're still watching? Justin, what's that about? You up in the mountains sometimes, Justin, right? B-Man, you watching? What's up with the Omni Grove Park Inn? What's good? All right. Give me this, and this is her caption, give me this view any day, she wrote to her thousands of Instagram followers. The same weekend, Rutherford accepted about $900 for a room at the lodge and food and drinks from Injured Workers Advocates Ethics. This is with the Ethics Finding Show, right? All right, the organization comprised of South Carolina workers and compensation lawyers invited Rutherford to the gaggle of other lawmakers. All right, I'm gonna stop it there. Y'all can use your library card and talk about the couple going to Mykonos, the couple going over to places and spending y'all money and spending campaign donations, right? So let me bring it back to what we were really talking about. So why when I critique Todd Rutherford's spending, why when I talk about his questionable use of earmarks and how he used those earmarks to support his ex-wife and other business partners with his ex-wife and her brother and your mama Megan, your mama and her nonprofit, $500,000, y'all. Why is that always attacked? Why am I always the person that says, hey, Tamika, stop saying that. Don't say that. You're being racist. And it's not just Megan. It's not just Megan who does that to me all the time. At all. It's not just Megan, right? So, like, y'all know I've been a big, like, I critique Joe Cunningham all the time. And I remember back in 2018, these are old stories. This was the banger right here. This story right here. This was shout out to the Herald Sun in Durham, North Carolina, right? So this was a really big story. So he voted against, not only did Joe Cunningham vote against the $15 minimum wage, right? So let me read this. Let me blow this up a little bit. And I'm going to get to this because this is where, like, it's not just Megan who is so uncomfortable. First of all, your husband is a whole public figure. You're going to have to, like, let little things fly. You're going to let somebody with little 10K followers and 5 views on YouTube, you're going to really let that get under your skin? You a whole beauty queen. He a whole elected official. Go take a flight somewhere and relax, right? Do that. So this is a story from July 12, 2019. Last month, as moderate U.S. U.S. Democrats successfully pressured leaders to pass a border security bill that liberals said did little to protect detained migrant children, national progressive activists rage, right? And I remember this firsthand because I had friends who worked with Indivisible at the national, like worked with them. I've also facilitated for Indivisible. I was flown to Georgia once to facilitate and train for Indivisible, right? Any vote other than no, this is from Indivisible. Any vote other than no is a vote to give ICE, to give more money to ICE to terrorize immigrant families. Indivisible, a national progressive agency. I'm going too fast. Any vote other than no is a vote to give more money to ICE to terrorize immigrant families. Indivisible, a national progressive advocacy group formed after the 2016 election that has mobilized thousands of foot soldiers around the country, tweeted in an official call to action. Indivisible's national apparatus called out dozens of centrist lawmakers by name, urging their constituents to hold them accountable. One of those lawmakers was U.S. Rep. Joe Cunningham, one of the most vulnerable, this is in 2019, y'all, one of the most vulnerable Democratic incumbents up for re-election in 2020, right? He thought he was cute doing this shit, right? Yet, 2 weeks later, back in South Carolina, in the first congressional district, Cunningham isn't feeling the wrath, right? He isn't, right? And then I got some friends in there that were quoted as well from Indivisible saying that, well, he can't be too liberal on these issues of immigration. He can't do this. He can't do that. And some of them, I don't want to mischaracterize. One of my friends who I hold in high regard, Sarah Stevenson. I'm not using that voice for her. Sarah, I love you. You know I love you. I love you, Sarah. Keep swimming. Keep breaking records. But to me, I reject the premise of that argument. I think these are the issues, and we saw what happened, right? No one wants diet MAGA. No one wants low calorie MAGA. They just gonna go get the real thing. And Nancy Mace was the real thing, right? So you already know that. You should already understand that this capitulating to this right-leaning base. I know it's a swing district. I think on certain issues like immigration, like minimum wage, I think those were areas where you could have shown up for Dems and voted like a Democrat. But when you push back, let me get back to the pushback. So when you push back, though, and you question that, and not only that, Joe Cunningham was running, let me see if I can find it. Joe Cunningham was running pro-ICE ads that I guess Tyler, I don't know if he just scrubbed it from the face of the earth or what. So basically, I don't know if y'all can read this. Let me blow it up some. Got like 20 minutes. So basically back in 2018 from the Charleston Activist Network Facebook account, I wrote this. Well, let me see. You can't even see it. Let me see if I go back one. No. I wrote about how it was a caption. I don't know why I can't see it. There was a caption when I asked, and you can't see it because the content was blocked, but a caption where I asked, is it cool that he's running, that the ad said that he's pro-ICE, right? Let me see if I can put it in here. So y'all can see the actual, thing I wrote. It's weird how Facebook, I don't know, it's just kind of weird. Let me see. Here we go. Right. So this is what I wrote. It's weird how when I click on it, not only is the information removed, but my caption or what I posted isn't shown. It says the commercial states that Joe supports ICE. Doesn't that bother any Charleston Dems, right? Right? The commercial states Joe supports ICE. And I remember quoting it, right? And it existed. I can't find that ad. It's not the Stacey ad, right? So under here, shout out Iskra, but under here you start seeing people kind of say, well, I get why he's doing it. I am neither a Dem or Republican and I support ICE as long as they're being used, whatever, right? And then you have somebody here, I understand why he's running it. I don't like it, but there's never any real substantive pushback like, hey, let's make him be better. Let's have a town hall. Let's get the League of Women Voters. Let's get our local Indivisible group to at least have a conversation, at least construct this thing where it looks like you're critiquing him on this one issue. There's never really any accountability because people are, we don't want him to lose the first. Well, guess what he did? Guess what he did? Because you let him be a single issue candidate. You let him bring out the beer, the baby, the blowhorn, and the breweries. You let him bring out all them little props. You let him just be a cute guy with thick wavy hair and a nice smile, and you never really dug deep and you never pushed him, and guess what? He still lost, right? He still lost. And so my point is, like, you did all that and you treated him like an uncooked egg that you didn't want to drop, and you still lost because you never pushed him to be a better candidate. He wasn't well-rounded. I've seen all kinds of candidates at least get a second term just like by listening to their constituency, by walking the line is my point. It's hard as hell. Joe Cunningham and Nancy Mace had their work cut out for them in that district. I will never ever say that it's not easy, that it's easy to do what they're doing. I would never say that it's easy to do what they're doing, but there's a way to do it. There's a pathway to victory. There's a pathway to like a vanilla, not even vanilla, because that goes against what I'm trying to say, but there's a way to show up for issues that are really important. But I'm more interested in, instead of just winning, instead of just looking at, oh, we need to get back to the first who hadn't, up until Joe Cunningham, elected a Democrat since 1981. Instead of doing that, why aren't we looking at other areas? Why aren't we looking at other districts where there is a possibility? Shout out to, and so instead of like everything hinging on one candidate, one mediocre candidate, what are we doing to push candidates to show up better? So if Joe don't show up for us, we vote him out. Yeah, maybe we get a Nancy Mace and we might vote her out too. We might pressure her too, because you should be engaging with her as well. You should be engaging with her as well. You should be pushing her to show up for you as well, right? It's not just push the Democrats, it's push both parties to show up for you better, right? And so my question is like, why aren't we looking to show up and to be more competitive? And why aren't we looking at the battle, I don't want to compare to war, but why aren't we looking at, shout out to Phil Dudley on this part, why aren't we looking at like the 2nd congressional district, right? Now, I don't know how y'all feel, but I kind of get it. I did a little digging last night. South Carolina 2nd Congressional District, Phil Dudley, who used to work for the Better Work Campaign, used to work for Mary Garren. Now he's over in LA killing it with him and his wife, Katie, PhD Katie. Shout out Katie, friend of the show. He made the argument that Mia McLeod, it's going to be a tough hike for Mia McLeod to win a statewide seat. I completely agree. He argued that he thought that Mia could win the 2nd Congressional District. And if you go to sites like a Ballotpedia, you'll learn more about the 2nd Congressional District. You know that's where Joe Wilson is holding it down, right? But so following the 2016 election, let me make this a little bigger. Following the 2016 election, this district was one of 105 congressional districts that intersected with one or more pivot counties. The 206 pivot counties voted for Donald Trump in 2016 after voting for Barack Obama in 2018 and 2012, right? So I think when Phil says this is a winnable seat, I think he's right. I think if you put in the groundwork if you started as early as 2016, look at how the 2nd Congressional District looks. Look what you got in here. You got Columbia, you got Aiken, you got Barnwell, y'all, right? And then if you look at, when you have everything on one candidate, when you're not pushing candidates, when you're not pushing the Democratic Party to put up better candidates, when you're not doing that, and you're not looking at, where you can make gains, you're playing yourself. So this is South Carolina Black population percentage by county. I'm sure this data is a little outdated because I know the recent census apportionment data hasn't really been added even to Ballotpedia, right? So the darker, the blacker the berry, the darker the area, the darker the county, the blacker it is, right? Right. So you got the 2nd all up and through here, right? This Barnwell right here, Barnwell County, right? Here's Aiken County, right? So not completely super chocolatey, right? Not the bluest of berries, but here's Richland, but you got Richland here. You've got things going for you. You've got proximity to the blacker counties right here, Allendale, Bamberg, Orangeburg. These are thoroughly black, right? Right? You've got something to look at here, and then you combine that. Now, we might be too far away from it. I don't know. this is not my area of expertise. But with the 08 and 2012 Barack Obama success, you could argue that you could coalition build, and its proximity to these black counties and proximity to Columbia being in that congressional district. To me, you got fertile ground to start really laying some groundwork, if that makes any sense. I've been talking a lot. Let me see what y'all saying. Right. Let me see. Make you feel like you give smoke where it's deserved. Non-critique is how we get politics. Yeah, I feel that way too, but thank you. I do. Like, I'm not sitting out here poking people for fuck's sake. Like, I'm not just doing things like a child. I'm trying to like lift up certain concerns, right? Lockwood, what is this? Oh, Lockwood Digital Designs, how to make politicians better, make them afraid of us. Right. That's the thing. And like, not on no like abusive shit, but yeah, they should fear your withdrawal of support. They should. Lockwood Digital Designs on Twitch, thank you. They should, but it's the other way around. It's just a pep rally, right? I got like 9 minutes. Same facade. Good morning, same facade. You said the way they drew those district lines purposely. Yes. Yep. They split up the black county. You see that, right? You see how it's part of Richland, part of this, part of that, right? Okay. Let me get off this website. Oh, it's Ballotpedia. All right. Let me see if there was another in the last like 9 minutes. There was another, let me see. Oh, I was going to do this, but y'all already know, like, this is the other Democrat that I put, another problematic Democrat, Caesar McKnight. We already talked about him. Like, the backlash for me, the backlash for Caesar wasn't as pronounced as it needed to be. I think this one was an easy one. Maybe people ignored him. I don't know. But he should have been taken off committees. He should have been made a pariah if he has been made one. I haven't read that yet, but he should have been made a pariah after the stunt he pulled on Tucker Carlson. And it's like, why don't we have that? Why don't we have a voice in the state that questions that, right? I wanted to pull up this New York Times piece, and I'm going to pull up two things. I'm going to go back to Clyburn and, again, listen to the Bad Faith podcast, listen to a lot of, I don't know if I'll suggest, I'll continue to suggest on this platform, but listen to the Bad Faith podcast and about their critiques on Clyburn and his peculiar desire to kind of jump into this race, right? So I mentioned how, I'm a fan of Nina Turner, and so much so that seeing her up close, really studying her, knowing how she's shown up, I'm really a fan of hers, right? But the big story that's been making a national story is that the race for an Ohio House seat illustrates divisions within the Democratic Party. Let's see who's on my mind. How you doing, Poppy? All right, Nina Turner, a former Cleveland councilwoman and Ohio State senator, y'all. All right, she ain't no scrub off the bench. She not. All right, is the progressive primary candidate in the House race that could read as a signal about the party's future. Yep, because we got to lose the House. I feel because of Joe Biden. All right, so this piece right here from the New York Times talks about all the Dems coming. Let me see if I can get Clyburn. Here we go. Right. So Miss Turner's main rival, Shontel Brown. Shout out to Dr. Claw. You've already said this. Cuyahoga County Democratic Party chairwoman has been endorsed by the Congressional Black Caucus, their political action committee, Hillary Clinton, and the highest ranking black member of the House, James Clyburn. All right. And it's just really weird. Right. Number 3 House Democrat steps into Ohio race to head off the Sanders acolyte. And I just think it's real peculiar. It's not even peculiar. I gotta stop saying that. This is the kind of bullshit that he should hear from us about. Like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you always talking about defunding the police and the progressive agenda? And then you say you're the most progressive person. You're not progressive. You might have been progressive at the time when you were more active. And not more active when you were when during the civil rights freedom struggle, but now you're not. Your values haven't caught up with the time. It hasn't caught up with the people, right? And so I wanted to play this I wanted to play an interview I did with Nina Turner back in 2019 when I was on OWN Radio. Now I'm on home radio. But I want to play this in the last 5 minutes. I'm not going to play the whole thing, right? But this is my interview, and this is why, like, this is not even so much to rah-rah and cheerlead for Nina Turner, but like, I wanted to play this because she hits her mark, and she's been in this state so much, and she's spoken to these issues so well. And it's like, why would you not support this kind of a candidate? Like, to me, I just don't get it. So let me play a little bit of this. Let me play a little bit of this interview. So the first question I have is you've served as a surrogate for the campaign, for the Sanders campaign, both now and in 2016. For those who don't know, real quick, I was on my shit this day. This was in Wamalaw. This is in the Wamalaw Community Center. Danny Glover was there as well. I'm in the back. I will say shout out to the campaign who got me access. It was very transactional situation. I got it, but I got the access. Shout out to Jessica Bright. Why are you but anyway, I was on my game. This was on Wamalaw. I actually felt like I did really well here because I had a really short time. So passionately behind Senator Sanders.
I'm passionately behind Senator Sanders because he has that heart-soul agreement that we need for a time such as this. He is somebody that feels deeply, thinks deeply,
I see you, B-Man.
and is willing to put it all on the line. He has nothing to lose, and he stands up. And he has said to us, even when he ran the last time, but even before then, he has been, I encourage your listeners to go back and do the research. He's been saying the same thing for the last 40 years, that the system is rigged and that the working class and middle class people of this country deserve better than what they're getting, and that he will go up against the systems in this country to stand up for all of us. So Medicare for All is one example, that College for All, canceling student debt. He's constantly said, if we can bail out Wall Street, we can put a little down payment on it for Main Street. And that's what he's standing up for.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, next question is, Bernie Sanders has an advantage in that other candidates didn't have to go through that contentious primary. So he's put in his time.
Battle tested.
Look at battle tested. Yeah. So how do you think that advantage is going to play out in states like South Carolina, where he's suffered a big loss in the primary? But how do you think it's going to benefit?
I mean, and you're referring to 2016. Right. I mean, the southern states were front loaded. Senator Sanders is a senator from Vermont. He hails from Brooklyn. By way, but went to Vermont, and that's where he made his adult life, there in Vermont. And Vermont is a smaller state and is not as diverse. So when he got on the scene in 2015, in terms of declaring that he was going to run for president, in that latter part, he was on the national scene, but people had to really try to get to know him. Now people really understand the mission. And now we're going deeper so that they understand the man. Your question that you asked about why Senator Bernard Sanders. Well, if you look at all of the presidential candidates that are up there right now, they're all speaking from the gospel according to.
She like she killed it with this interview. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit, but I still was like, nah, I'm voting for Elizabeth Warren. like I still was like, I was over. She got me there. She got me there, but I had already kind of like dug in. But she so knocked it out the park. But there's parts where she starts talking about South Carolina that I just really want to play before I have to dip and go to work.
Gives him the right to expect that black people will vote for him, or his ethnicity
identity
gives
politics.
him an advantage. He wants to work and earn this vote, and that's what we're doing. The senator has come to the state time and time again. He's been to several events in the state. We're going to keep coming back. Myself, as you know, and we know we got brother Danny Glover here. We have been here. This is like my second home. I joke with the South Carolinians, and I say to them when I tell people where I'm from, I'm going to have to start adding South Carolina. I'm going to have to say Ohio and South Carolina. Come on.
We got a lot of Ohioans here.
But just, building relationship and just showing that things will be different when he is the president of the United States of America. Sister Gasson, we talked about health, Medicare for all, but I want black women in particular to understand what that means for them, that black women die at higher rates when we give birth in the United States of America in 2019, that black babies die at higher rates than anybody else's babies in the 21st century, that we are underinsured and uninsured at higher rates, disproportionate in this country. Medicare for all is a black woman's issue. When Senator Sanders says that we need to raise the minimum wage to a living wage of $15 an hour, that speaks to black women. Most black women are
And I just want to say that this is what Clyburn and the moderate Dems, the corporate Dems, are afraid of. They're afraid of this, how effective this is, how real this is. Their donor base don't want this, right? Farmer don't want this. And so this is what Clyburn and everyone else of his ilk is going up against. It's going up against this kind of strong message. And so I'm gonna leave it there. It's 9 o'clock. But I wanted to play that because I really want to say that like we have to lean into more progressive vision. To me, she's making there's a class analysis here. It's not just exclusive to race. I asked her specifically about Black women and why Black women should vote, but it's not just specific to my race and how I identify. And it's candidates like this, strong Black women candidates like this, that we should be lifting up. Right. And we should be not just like with Stacey Abrams when they try to give us Stacey Evans. Right. And we was like, nah, we want Stacey Abrams. It's like when they try to give us Chantel Brown, we're like, nah, we want Nina Turner. Right. And we want this type of bold vision, this type of bold messenger, this type of really competent politician when you break it down. And it's okay to want more. It's okay. You deserve a bad bitch. I said this before, especially when it comes to Joey. You deserve a bad bitch. You deserve the best. You don't have to settle for the high school hunk that you dated that took you to the prom. You don't have to do that. You didn't, you know what I mean? You can shoot for more. You do not have to settle. You can actually push for your candidates to be better. You can push for your candidates to be better. You can want better things. You can want a more progressive South Carolina. We have to start somewhere, y'all. We've been red for so damn long. We don't even know how to fight anymore. We have to start trying to win areas that are winnable. We have to start taking the Caesar McKnights out and pushing more better, well-rounded candidates in there. We have to start treating the soil. It's not going to happen overnight, but you have to do the work. Look at our neighbors to the North Carolina, and to the south, Georgia. They are doing it. They did it over years, right? We have to be courageous and bold enough to want a better candidate. Period. So push them damn Dems. Get on that phone, call Clyburn and tell them to stand down, stay out of the 11th. Call Caesar McKnight just for the hell of it. Tell Caesar McKnight you was real wild for that. I ain't forget. I'm gonna hold this grudge against you and stop coming at our trans kids and stuff like that at school. Call Todd Rutherford and ask him, yo, where my campaign donation at? Was you really out there freaking in Mykonos with it or what? What's up? Why you use the state plane like that? Question this shit. Question Joey. Oh, Joey, you gonna be a single issue gubernatorial candidate? Joey, you gonna be a single issue gubernatorial candidate or what? Question this stuff, y'all. Question this stuff. Please push them to be better. It's okay. You're not trying to be their friend. You're trying to be their employer. You're trying to be their manager. You're managing their performance. They work for you. Don't forget it. All right, that's it. I gotta go to work. Talk to y'all later. Thank y'all so much today. It was really good. The chat was crazy. I could not keep up with either chat on Facebook or on Twitch. Please, I'll see y'all tomorrow. I really, really, really appreciate and love y'all. Bye.